Good afternoon. It's a really hot one out there. My name is Leah Wagner, and I am the director here at the Monroe Township Library. And it's my pleasure to welcome you to the dedication of the Tamburro Garden. I do hope you had some time to go out and look around if you haven't been there. I want to thank the family for thinking of the library as a place to honor both their parents. I can't think of a better way, actually, than to have had this garden come up. Over the past several years, residents have come to meet, read, lunch, rest, and even take photos in the garden. Just recently, we had a mother and her daughter out there taking photos. I think they were graduation photos. And it was just such a lovely thing for us to all see. And so now with this garden, we have yet another place for everyone to enjoy the library grounds, and it's a beautiful place to enjoy the grounds. The mayor and Carol were wonderful library supporters. I don't know if and all of you know it or not, but Carol used to teach sewing here, and she was well loved, and we all had questions for her with our own sewing questions. And the mayor was always open to listen to what we had to say and to talk to us about what he thought the library should do too. I do need to thank one more person who has helped put all of this together today. Oh, there she is. It's Tanya Chavone. She has shepherded this all the way through. She has the organizational skills second to none. She was my right hand lady, and I really appreciate for all of the work that she did. But it is my honor to have met the family today and to have all of you here as we dedicate this beautiful garden. Now, one of the things we learned as we put this garden together is that butterflies are important to the Tamburro family. So part of that garden outside is a butterfly garden. So when you go out, it is well, if you're standing there to the left, I have left and right issues, but to the left there will be a butterfly garden that is there, and it's been certified as a monarch way station. And I would like to present, I guess, Cindy, because we've been working with you, or anybody who wants to come up from the family. I have a certificate for you for butterflies. And it is a monarch way station to provide milkweeds, nectar plants, and shelter for monarchs throughout their annual cycle of reproduction and migration. And so this, in appreciation for the efforts on behalf of monarchs, Monarch Watch awards this certificate to the Tamburro Garden in loving memory of the Mayor Gerald and Carol Tamburro for the creation and maintenance of Monarch Way Station number 39106. And so this is for you. It is official. Now it is my pleasure to introduce Mayor Stephen Delina, who has, I forgot Irene, I'm sorry.
Do you want me to introduce the lady that's sitting in the corner over here?
You want to get up?
What's your name again? So, I have this special introduction is to our longtime library goddess, here in Monroe Township, Irene Goldman.
I won't say much. I forgot you have to hold this like an ice cream cone, just in case you care. But so you're taking bites off the top of it. We've had to learn by bitter experience. 35 years ago, I came to Monroe when the then mayor, Richard Pucci, decided it was time to build a library. So I have been with the library, except for the past couple of years since I retired, since the beginning. And I need to tell you one thing, and only one thing, and Steve, you can listen too. I have worked in other communities. This was not my first rodeo. I have never had an experience of working with mayors plural, who listen, who ask questions, who actually compromise. It's been amazing. It was a wonderful experience. When Jerry Tamburro came in as mayor, I was a little, I'm not so sure because I've not worked with him before. Absolutely. Come on in, Irene, I want to ask you some questions. Oh, there goes the microphone. But I can project. He was so receptive. He would call me and ask me questions, and he would hear me. That is just such a profound experience. And thanks to him. I really enjoyed those years. But then there's Steve. Steve used to work here in the library on the reference desk. I have known Steve for a very long time, as well as his wife Sue, who worked in the children's department for a while. Steve, I can't say enough about Steve. There's nothing to be said but that Steve will seek me out and ask me questions if he needs to ask questions. I am no longer running the show, but you see, they let me have a microphone. So anyway, I'm not going to play with this anymore. I'm going to hand the non-functioning microphone to Steve and let him figure out what to do with it.
I'll talk loud. So I have absolutely no prepared speech. But that's important to note, because those of you who know me know I talk with my heart. And when we talk about heart, let's see if I can get through this. When we talk about heart, we talk about Jerry and Carol. That's the essence of the two of them, that heart. And what does that heart produce? It produces love. And oh boy, we're all here for a reason, for Jerry and Carol. We're here because they touched us in some capacity, whether it's family, friends, co-workers, or maybe you just met them once or twice, playing bocce, maybe at the library here, the community center. You're here because of that love from that heart, and that is so precious. That's something that we all take. For me, to follow Jerry wasn't hard. You always talk about shoes to fill. But that heart, that love that Jerry had, that I was able to take and then give out again. That's what we all want, that spirit, that soul of people who've been on this earth, who have passed on, and that legacy that they leave. That's what you want. That's what I want. We're only on this planet for a certain period of time, but that legacy that you leave. And with Jerry and Carol, again, whether it was, Jerry talking politics or talking life, Carol talking recipes or mahjong strategies, whatever the deal is. If they touched you, you have them here. I have Jerry and Carol here. Oh, do I have it. And what a way to celebrate, to come together like this as a community and celebrate the heart of Jerry and Carol. I love you all. I love this family. And let's just keep it going.
I have a big mouth too, so if that works. If you can't hear me, raise your hand. So thank you, Mayor, and thank you, Leah, and everybody for your kind words. My parents moved to Monroe later in life. It wasn't their hometown of Nutley, New Jersey, where they first met in 7th grade. And it wasn't where they raised their 6 children in East Brunswick, but Monroe became their adopted hometown. And more importantly, Monroe adopted them. And they were very comfortable here. A lot of their East Brunswick neighbors, some who are here today, and friends, and even my aunt and uncle settled in Monroe, later in life. So it became a place where they worked, they socialized, and they were deeply involved in the community in so many ways. And once they moved here, it was virtually impossible to get in touch with them because they wouldn't carry the cell phones. We never knew when we were going to get in touch with them. So that was quite a challenge. Mom, as people said, she got involved in the bocce league. She was involved in activities in the community and senior center. She played mahjong and canasta, as the mayor mentioned. She exercised at the fitness center. And of course, her favorite thing, borrowing books from this library. And she loved to read, and she loved it here at this library. She spent a lot of time here. And because she was a natural teacher, that's what she did before raising the family, she decided to teach sewing, as was mentioned, which she did for many years at the Brunswick Square Mall in East Brunswick at night. That was her part-time job at Singer, teaching sewing to so many people who enjoyed it. She was so creative. Don't cry. So creative, whether she was in the kitchen or at a social event or at work. When we were kids, she would literally take things that she found around the house and turn them into something marvelous and brand new. She took a felt blanket, fringe, and some trim and turned it into Halloween costumes that were literally the envy of the neighborhood. And then they got passed down over the years. They were amazing costumes. She took materials she found on the clearance rack when she dragged my brother every year and turned them into 4 Easter dresses that looked like custom-made clothing. And the girls would all wear them to church on Easter. It was truly amazing, her skills. She had a way of showing us how to turn things, and I think this is a product of the Depression, how to turn things around the house into just other things. And in fact, Susan reminded me that she turned things she found around the house into puppets for a book report. She actually has these puppets, believe it or not, here today. If you can see them, stand up and show those. So these things are like 45 years old. And this is just
They are.
material.
These were puppets from a book we read instead of doing your ordinary book report. She said, oh no, you're going to do a puppet theater. And this, the night before, she made, this is a nylon stocking with, she opened up the pillow, and look how clever this is. She has one of her pink curlers in here as the finger hold. The yarn is just yarn she repurposed before the word repurpose was in. A clip that she had on something, a rubber band, and this was the silver fish. Of course, the googly eyes. Yes, Gerald's right. This is probably 50 years old. But this just is one example of how clever she was. Yeah.
We don't have the Halloween calendar. Now, sometimes she went a little too far with this creativity. She was never shy about rearranging the furniture in our house when we weren't around. And I think we all went through that. And then she thought she'd save a few dollars when we were kids, and she started cutting her hair and styling her hair. And I can tell you, she gave some really bad hair. We have the school pictures to prove it. Now, in order to capture my father's spirit, I thought I would tell you a story of 2 summers while I was in college. A few years ago, I worked at a company that was across the street from the bank that he was in charge of at the time up in Hillside. So I would drive with him to and from work every day. And I only remember him giving me one piece of advice. In all those conversations for 2 summers, he said to be successful, you need to show up prepared and show up on time. Those were his 2 things. And I know you people that work with him can appreciate that because he never lost it. He was a stickler for these things. And being prepared meant that you showed up pressed and dressed. And you didn't show up like a slob. And there were the occasional mornings when I'd been out the night before, late with my friends, and was a bit slow getting up and getting out of the house, Well, I literally had to chase the car down the driveway because he was leaving with or without me on time. Well, in the afternoons, I would usually just wait in the car for him because I was done a little early, park the car in the shade. But on the particularly hot days, he would tell me, come into the bank and just find a place to sit where it's cool, and you know, when I'm done, I'll come and get you. But what he didn't know is I could see him working from a distance. I could see his desk and his office and where he worked. And I could see, and I sat there and watched him interact with clients, with the bank president, with tellers, and the entire staff that worked in this bank. And what always struck me, and this is a long time ago, and stayed with me from those 2 summers, is that he treated the bank president, his most important client, and the lady that emptied the trash can next to his desk with the same respect and with the same admiration, no matter who you were. And he always did that. So following his third move to Greenbrier, you know, he played a fair amount of golf, bocce, and other leisure activities, but he was a little more restless than my mother. And at the urging of my uncle, he initially got involved in the Greenbrier board, and that led to the town council and 2 terms as mayor. He was very proud of that. And my friends would ask me, why is your father still working as mayor at this point in his life? And my answer was always literally the same, because he loved Monroe, he felt like he could make a difference, and he had something to contribute. But he also loved to be aggravated, so it was a perfect job for him. And he dedicated his life to family faith and service. And his family, of course, was very special to him. He was always there for our scouting events, our recitals, our sporting events, and graduations, birthday parties. He was always home for those. And he was the guy that would yank us out of the undertow down the shore too, when it was sure to carry one of the girls away each summer. So as I said, he treated everybody with the same respect when he was the mayor. I know he treated the employees here, the veterans, the first responders especially. He had a particular respect for. Thank you for being here today and for what you guys do. Earlier today, our family gathered at a memorial garden at our church in Bridgewater. And in that garden, we returned Mom and Dad's ashes, their last earthly remains, to the earth. And there they will remain for eternity. So I think it's fitting today that here in Monroe, we're dedicating this amazing and beautiful garden that sprung up from that same earth, and will remind us, and all of us who visit there, of the 2 lives that were well lived and should be celebrated. Our whole family thanks you. Thanks everyone here for the wonderful tribute to our parents, the wonderful beauty of this place. We thank the many hands and hearts that have created this amazing space. And we especially thank you for embracing my parents during their time in Monroe and adopting them here in Monroe. Thank you.
Thank you. And you're right, this is the perfect way to celebrate both your parents. So now, Susan, I'm going to let you tell us what's happening.
I'm Susan Tamburro Kinsey, one of Carol and Jerry's 6, if you don't know me. I'd like to start by telling you a quick story about our mom and dad, tying back into the family school projects that Gerald just spoke about. And today wouldn't be complete without mentioning this oldie but goodie, the American Flag Girl Scout Project. It was the year of our great country's bicentennial, and for decor at our Girl Scout booth at the Brunswick Square
Mall for their bicentennial celebration, Mom and Dad created a huge American flag on a 10 by 10 wide piece of plywood. And across the top of it, in these huge block letters, filled with colorful seeds, Mom wrote the words, "We are the seeds of the future." And this big flag was a fixture in the basement of our East Brunswick home up until all of us kids were grown and flown and Mom and Dad moved to Monroe Township. Anytime you'd walk in the basement, there it was, before you. We are the seeds of the future. And over the years, Mom and I found ourselves frequently using that phrase to punctuate conversations, many of which ended with, "After all, we are the seeds of the future." And you guys know what I'm talking about. Fast forward to today, and I really can't help but reflect on how remarkable it is that we all stand here as the seeds of the future, the seeds of our parents' legacy, and the seeds of our family traditions, the seeds of the future of Monroe Township, and the seeds of the future of America. Also perfectly fitting and tying in today's dedication is a poem that our mom said to me on numerous occasions, particularly when I was in college. "Your mind is a garden, your thoughts are the seeds. You can grow flowers, or you can grow weeds." All of this represents the essence of our parents. This garden, set on library grounds in the township that they love so much, is a remarkable legacy. And the icing on the cake is that it's also a monarch butterfly way station, because they loved butterflies and they loved what butterflies represented. As a matter of fact, I have with me today an article from the Star-Ledger dated August 21st, 2002, almost exactly 20 years ago to the day, that Mom mailed me about the plight of the monarch butterfly in New Jersey and how weather conditions, urbanism, and destruction of habitat were responsible for a 27-year low at that time in monarch population. She knew I'd find the article interesting because just the year before, Mom and Dad, my husband Kevin and I, all vacationed together in Niagara Falls and
Went to the butterfly habitat there. That's okay, I'm also loud. And here's that article. I am a memorabilia hoarder, which is why I still have those puppets, and why, coincidentally, I still have this article. It's just remarkable. But the article talks about the types of plants that are essential food and habitat for monarchs and how everyone can participate in securing the future of these beautiful creatures. And here we are today, doing our part along with the Township of Monroe and the Monroe Township Library to help replenish the vital food and habitat of the monarch butterfly. So thank you for embracing this project. I think we can all now gather and go to this patio because the Tamburros each has a monarch butterfly chrysalis that, if all goes well, will fly away as a butterfly. And as we do that, or maybe I'll just read this butterfly benediction now before we walk out to the garden to release these butterflies to christen the garden. And it's a butterfly benediction by Richard Green, and it says, "May this morning sun caress you, the rains of change refresh you, and the gentle breeze of his spirit lift the wings of your transformation." And with that, we can all walk to the patio and release the